So here, I've started recording the lesson. Thank you for joining us again. It's Friday. I know that most of you would like to be outside playing, doing I don't know what, but it's always nice to be able to just wrap up the whole week with a lesson for the Scholars Cup. Today we'll be starting with another subject, with a new subject. We'll be talking about science and technology, which, to be honest, is my least favorite subject because I suck at science. I tried to I tried to cover some of the articles, and we'll see how it goes. Although today I expect that we will only be able to cover the introductory questions. For the ninth graders who are here, I can see Teddy and Dea. The first 10 minutes will be about something that we have already talked about. It will be something that we have covered during our debating lessons, but I need to make the connection and to come up with a spectacular example to announce what the subject is about. So you might be bored for the first 10 minutes, but then we will pick up the pace by going through the questions, and I will need your help there. So today it will be, the lesson will be focused on a discussion with you guys, and I'm eager to see what you think. I will share my screen now. As I said, oops, not there. This is what we will be doing, science and technology, and the subtitle is to edit a planet. It's a big question, and there are, how many introductory questions? About 15, I think, which are very interesting and provoking. To be honest, I don't expect that there will be any conflicting opinions because most of the people will probably think the same, but we'll see. Now, I will ask a specific person, so I don't want everyone to just say yes, yes, yes. I'll ask Adea. Adea, are you here?
Yes, teacher, I am.
Adea, do you know what this is?
They're mammoths?
It's a mammoth. Have you ever seen a mammoth?
Well, I mean, in movies?
Have you ever seen one in real life?
No, I have not.
Why not?
Actually.
Extinct.
They're extinct, teacher.
They're extinct. Yes, they are, and they're just one of the extinct animals. There are a lot of species which have gone
like
extinct.
a dodo.
What about this one though, Adia? Do you know what this is?
Teacher, I know what that is.
A white rhino.
It's the white
it's
rhino.
a white rhino, and they're almost extinct. Like there are like 3 rhinos like that left.
There are 3 rhinos left, and all of them are female, which means that they cannot reproduce. So, in a couple of years, this species will also be extinct.
Actually,
now,
they're trying.
Tigers are also in danger.
Marco, let me ask you a specific question.
Okay.
Both the mammoth and the white rhino are extinct, let's say. Is there anything different about the way they got extinct?
Well, the mammoth got extinct because of like climate change, because like they lived in ice, like in icy biomes.
Yes.
And they got extinct, let's say, like naturally. While on the other hand, the white rhino got extinct because of like illegal hunting, like because of the people.
Poaching.
So yeah, there's a big difference between their ways of extinction.
That's right.
And actually, teacher, one thing, like yes, the last male of the rhinos died like 2 or 3 years ago, and they're trying like with some parts of his body, like with the parts for reproduction, for breeding. They're trying to breed the females with the left organs.
I didn't know that. That's interesting. Thank you for informing me about that. Yes, but you're right. The mammoth died out because of natural causes, because the environment had changed. I don't think that it was hunted down to extinction, unlike the white rhino, which was the consequence of illegal hunting, because mostly people hunted it for its horn. They believe that they can make medicine out of its horn, so that's how they came, how they brought about this horrific, horrible thing. Marco, a specific question for you, because otherwise it will get very noisy. If you could, would you bring back these species?
Which species? The rhino?
The rhino and the mammoth.
Yeah, yes, I will. I would, because like maybe not the mammoth, because there won't like I guess they're probably getting extinct again really quick because of the environment. But I would like to bring back the rhino.
Right. Okay.
Because
Interesting.
the mammoth will like mess with the like the biosystem, let's say, that is now, because there are no more animals like that. There are no more predators that the mammoth had, and yeah, it will probably go extinct very fast again.
What's interesting is that the mammoth contributed a lot to the ecosystem in its habitat where it lived, because it was enormous, it was huge, and when it walked, it touched the branches, and then there would be flowers coming from them or blossoms, and in that way the mammoth would help in planting new seeds. So in a way, it was a main. It helped maintain the balance in the habitat. Uh, What's interesting is this. If you have the time, you can have a look at this video. It's not part of the official curriculum for the Scholars Cup, but it's something that I liked, and we covered this with the ninth graders. It's a TED talk about the dawn of de-extinction. Are you ready? Which is the opposite process of extinction. Basically, what they are able to do now is that they can find um, DNA from fossils. So they can take some fossils, which you can find in museums. They can just scratch the bones a bit. Of course, I'm just improvising here. I don't know how they do it, but they would take the DNA and they would use it to breed an animal which is similar to that species. For example,
Basically, Jurassic Park.
they
Yeah,
found
but it's
the
true.
frozen tissue of a mammoth, and they're able to extract the DNA and to put it in an elephant, in a female elephant. So when the female elephant gives birth, it will be a mammoth. So there is a way of bringing these species back to life. What's interesting is one more thing, that in most museums, you don't only find the bones or the fossils of mammoths and saber-toothed tigers. If you go even earlier, what will you find?
Dinosaurs.
Dinosaurs, right?
Dinosaurs.
So they could potentially extract the DNA from a dinosaur bone, and they could try to put it in a relative, let's say. I think that the closest thing that we have to a dinosaur nowadays are some reptiles or some chicken.
Yeah.
There are some birds which look like, I don't know, the velociraptors, so they might be able to pull something off. Now, what I'm trying to say here is that we do have the science and technology to be able to do that. And there are people who have been working on this for a very long time. This guy, Stuart Brand, explains it in the video. As I said, if you have the time, please have a look at it. He explains how they would do it. My question is, if we can do it, and we can, should we? And if we start the discussion over here, it will be very chaotic. So I will just say what I think. I think that for the animals that went extinct on their own as an evolutionary consequence, I don't think that we should. But for the species that we have exterminated, like for example the Tasmanian tiger, I think that we have the responsibility to bring them back, to in a way apologize to Mother Earth, to the planet, and say, our ancestors were terrible people. They hunted down this poor animal to extinction, and now we're better people. We can bring it back. That's what I think. Yana seems to disagree with me. Yana.
No, I mean, I raised the hand when you asked the question. So I agree that we should bring back the animals that we've killed. But I also agree that I also think that we should bring back the animals that we have killed in the past. Like the first animal that you think of right now is the rhino, but in the past there were dodo birds. They were also killed by us. I mean, they not literally, but they went extinct because of us.
Yeah. And
I wouldn't I don't think I would bring back the dinosaurs because they died because of a meteor, and that was nature. It's not like aliens sent the meteor. Maybe they did, but it wasn't because of us.
Yeah, Yana, but don't you think that it would be a huge accomplishment for science if we were able to bring back the dinosaurs, if we managed
Why
to?
don't they just use the tissue they already have from the dinosaurs
Yeah,
to
but
do science?
imagine going to a park like Jurassic Park and being able to.
Yeah, and then everything goes wrong, falls apart, and dinosaurs eat us.
No.
That's not the
And
point.
then dinosaurs take over the
Take
world.
over.
Yeah,
They
take
won't, they
like
won't
that.
take over,
Teacher,
no.
I think that
Have
if we
the
bring the
tissue and the
dinosaurs,
bones to be able to like bring them back, bring back the
Yeah,
dinosaurs.
but
Just use
if we
that
bring
tissue
the
for science.
dinosaurs back, we need to train them like not to.
Absolutely.
No.
But don't you think that it will motivate people to care more about science? Because I don't care. I mean, I care about science, but I suck at science. But if I saw,
Only
if
not-
I
it
saw,
will only, it
just a
will only
second.
make them think that they can, since we can reverse our actions, we can do whatever the hell we want.
That's an
That's
interesting
not
point.
good.
That's an
not
interesting
good. They're gonna
point.
think, well, they brought back the rhinos, let's kill them all over again, and now they're gonna be able to bring them back later.
That's
It's
an
not-
interesting point. But
it's
my
not
point,
good.
my counterpoint is that if, when I was a child, if I saw a dinosaur and realized the potential of science, maybe I would be more interested in it, and maybe I would be a better individual. You know, so maybe when you see what science has been able to salvage and to better, maybe people will become better people on a global scale. Maybe they will stop poaching. They will stop poaching animals, hunting them illegally. Maybe they will be like, wow, what are we doing? We should be on a completely different level. And going through the comments in this video, I really like this comment, so I decided to show it to you. It reads, because most of the people who are against bringing back extinct animals, they say, who are we? Are we God to decide that? So it's a very interesting comment that if someone asks you, aren't we trying to play God when we attempt to bring back a species we've caused to go extinct? Answer them, well, it's a nice change to play God after having played the devil for so long. If you use this in a debate, I think that you automatically win. I don't think that anyone will be able to come up with a rebuttal for this.
Well, it's kind of true.
Yeah. Well, it does make sense.
It does make a lot of sense, actually, yes. But the Earth is very old, and I don't think that we can pinpoint a moment in history when we started being a negative influence on the earth. Yes, everyone nowadays talks about the rising water levels, everyone talks about climate change, but it's not something that started 50 years ago, it's not something that started 100 years ago. Maybe it is something that stems from a lot earlier. So it's difficult. Now, I would like to continue with the introductory questions, and I would like for people to volunteer to answer them. We will start with the first one. The first one reads, what would a perfect Earth look like? Sarah, you were the first. Could you please answer this question?
Well, I don't believe that there's such a thing as a perfect world because a lot of people would disagree with each other. So not everybody will agree on the same thing. So it will never be perfect. It can be better, but there's always going to be a little problem that's going to be there.
Yeah, but what's the best version of Earth in your mind?
In my mind,
What does it look
everybody's
like?
equal. People support each other because we're all the same no matter what. We're all people. Depends on if we're good or bad. In the perfect world, that's it. Everything's equal. There's no such a thing as there's such a thing as disrespecting different cultures, or you're black, I don't like you. Everybody's equal.
Yes, of course, I get that. But what does it look like physically? Can you, if you close your eyes and try to see what the Earth will look like in one millennium from now or 5 centuries from now, what does it look like? Is it a
Well,
better
I
place?
hope there's not as many buildings as now,
Okay, that's a good.
and the
That's
air
one
is
thing.
not as polluted.
Okay, no pollution. Okay,
And
not so
by
many
no
buildings.
pollution, their climate change will be fixed.
Okay. All right. What else?
I don't see anything else.
Okay. There have been, I think that this is something that architects are interested in. They've started promoting, they've started building whole areas of buildings, so residential areas with rooftops, with green rooftops, where there are gardens actually on top of the green roof building. Let's see if anything pops up. So they've started doing this to, in a way, show appreciation to nature and to help combat pollution. If you're asking me, this looks wonderful, and a perfect Earth, a perfect planet, would probably look like this in the future. Would you agree? Do you like this?
No.
Yes.
Yeah, looks
And
Yes.
if we manage to do it, I mean, not only will our residential area look more natural, but it will be also good for our health.
It would be more balanced.
Yeah, so like we have a place to go when we need fresh air.
Absolutely. Number two, I need a volunteer for this one. What is the ideal climate for the Earth? Would anyone like to answer this one? To be honest, I also suck at geography, so I'm not sure. Yana?
I would say the climate that was here before humans started mass production and factories. Probably the climate when people didn't have electricity.
Sure, what did you say? I didn't hear you.
My question was,
I guess it makes sense in my mind. I don't know if it makes sense like when I say it like this.
yeah, what is the ideal climate for the Earth? Because yes, you're talking about industrialization when people started building factories, but even if they didn't have electricity before that, they would cut down whole forests. They would burn down forests.
Not necessarily though, not whole forest. They would only, I mean, that's just the bare minimum that people did to survive, right? Because if you, I mean, the climate when people didn't have electricity and still wood was extremely much better than it is right now, right?
No.
I don't know. I guess it makes sense when I say it in my mind. I don't know how to say it out loud.
It's a very
I
difficult
mean,
question.
it's better this like right now, like this when we have electricity, but the bad thing is that we don't have a lot of like fresh air or
Teacher,
nature around us. Like
Yes.
a lot of things have changed from the past like I don't know centuries, but it was better in the past, but there wasn't like much things to do.
But there wasn't any global warming at that time. Victor, you were trying to say something?
yeah. Teacher, at that time they were using like wood and coal when they didn't have electricity. So that is like polluting more than it's polluting now. But teacher, we have electricity now, but we're using it the wrong way. We're making it from stuff that pollutes more.
I see. I see what you mean. It makes some sense, I suppose. What about this one? The third
Because
question.
now that we've got advantages from our ancestors, like we have electricity, we have internet, like we have technology, we have everything that we could wish for, and like we're using it the wrong way. We aren't using it to our advantage.
I know what you mean. Let's move on to the third question. Do we have a responsibility to restore the Earth to what it was like before humans began to change it? When did humans begin to change Earth? When did they begin?
I don't know.
when all the
From the very start.
Let's just follow the rules and raise our hands. Sarah?
well, humans started to change the world when they found different inventions like the light bulb and electricity and cars, and that's when it started changing slowly. The world was never perfect, but it was kind of better when it came to the Earth's climate and the Earth itself. Well, the Earth now isn't as bad as if we know how to keep it healthy. We need to calm down with the building and the building and driving cars all the time everywhere. For example, in summer.
Okay. Let me move on to the next one then. Many philosophers, or a lot of great thinkers, have distinguished between the natural and the good. When it comes to the earth, should we make such a distinction? Do you understand this question? It's very philosophical.
Yes,
it's
yes.
very
Like it depends on the context. Like,
No, I don't really understand
Absolutely,
it.
teacher, absolutely. We should make a distinction between the natural and the good. Like, if the natural won't benefit us, but will not kill half the things that live in it, then we should go with the natural. Like, if the good does benefit us and doesn't harm the natural, then we should go with the good. It only depends on whether we're harming, how do I say this? It only depends on whether what we harm is worth it for us to do the good. Because good, in our opinion, isn't the natural. Usually. I don't know.
What about this? Irrigation systems, for example. Is this natural?
No, but it is good.
It is good.
Because it helps
about,
us.
What about
Well,
this
it
one?
helps us.
What
That
about
is
this
both
one?
good and
Natural irrigation. So what people have done since the beginning of time is that they would build farms near
What
the.
is that?
Here's a weird sound. They would build farms near the river, and they would dig holes like furrows so the water could go and water their crops. Is that natural?
It is natural,
yes,
but it
it
doesn't
is.
benefit everybody because not everybody can have a farm near
No,
water.
but in the time that it was used, because like people lived in tribes at the time, so they were all together on the place. They like shared the farm. They all worked there, and so it benefited them all. So yeah, it does.
I'm asking a very simple question. If you, so there's a river, right? And it's going downstream, whatever. And you want to plant some seeds next to it, and there's crops. And then once they grow a bit, you make furrows so that the water could change its stream so it doesn't flow in one direction, but it actually enters the furrows as well. Is that natural?
If you dig it yourself, I don't
Yeah, but
think so.
Sarah, although you may not use any technology or any tools, you are changing the direction of the water. You are interfering with nature.
Yeah, so I said it's not natural, but it's good.
Yeah, but you don't harm the water.
You don't harm the water. Maybe
But you harm
do.
the plants that you don't need.
Uh,
You harm the plants that would need the water because you take their water for your own benefit.
Simona is right that you don't particularly harm the water because I suppose that the source is very rich and it will just keep producing water. But what if, Simona, let me give you a counter argument. What if there are 100 farms built along the river? Aren't you going to harm it? Maybe you are interfering with nature again.
And
Or this one, or for example, a normal farm. Isn't this interfering with nature?
It
No,
is
it
because
doesn't.
you're
It's like,
digging the ground.
yeah, but it's like
Oh
it's
yeah, but more
natural.
plants come out of it.
Yeah, but
But
yes,
it's not
of course, it has a-
natural.
Is it natural though?
No, if you plant
No,
them yourself, it's
they
not.
did it like on purpose, like to.
Yeah, but
Everything
But
that's
not all
natural is
the
what the
plants
earth
Wait,
gives
wait,
us.
wait. Let's follow the rules, please. Bodan, what do you think?
I think it's not natural, and I think that we have this kind of problem in Macedonia. Prespansko jezero. They use Prespansko jezero to like water their farms, and like this summer there was like not 100 but 50 meters the water was missing, and there was like 2 meters. It was
Here it is.
like it was shorter by 50 meters. It was really, it wasn't deep as it was, yeah, as we can see on the pictures.
They're dry. It has dried out because people use it to water their farms.
Yes, their
Uh,
farms.
what about this?
If it's controlled, it won't be a big problem, but this wasn't controlled, so it is a big problem.
Would you like this? Would you like to eat this? An apple?
Of course I
I
would.
mean, yes.
Is this natural?
I mean, not that apple over there.
Depends.
Is this
What
natural?
type of an apple is it? Is it
You're not
sprayed? Is it not sprayed? Is it natural?
Yeah.
Plastic?
None of them are natural because we have changed what apples look like. Because what we've done is, wait, I'll stop the sharing so I can explain this. So nature doesn't need such big apples. If we hadn't interfered with nature, apples would be this big. They would be as big as a plum. But people, our ancestors from the early ages, they realized that if they take this seed and they put it in a better soil and where there is a lot of sun, and if they water it constantly, that it would grow bigger. So if you do that, is it natural?
No.
It's very, I don't know, I don't have the answer, but it always makes me think, because you are changing what nature wanted in the first place, because nature wanted it to be a tiny fruit.
Yeah.
So teacher, that helps us, but it doesn't help nature.
Yeah,
I don't think it helps
nature.
I don't
It
think
helps us, but it doesn't help nature. Like we
But yes,
changed the
teacher,
whole
look, like,
fruit.
if we see it like that, like nature didn't want us to move out of the caves. We shouldn't like be in, I don't know, houses and buildings now. We should be living in caves if we like look at it.
Yes, that's what I'm trying to say. Because if we want to build a hut, we need to cut down a tree. We harm nature. So we have, my point is that since the caveman era, people have harmed nature. Because when they wanted to, as I said, to make a fire, they had to cut down some trees. Nature doesn't
But
want that.
sometimes nature doesn't benefit us.
That's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
That makes
Meaning
sense.
that nature is not always good. I personally think that in the middle, it's not always good, it's not always nature, but
Absolutely.
in the middle.
Absolutely. What I'm trying to say is that there are a lot of people who think that we only harm nature through technology. It's not just that. We interfere with nature all the time. Sometimes there is a positive outcome, sometimes there is a negative outcome. And I think that maybe at this stage of humanity, I think that we're smart enough to make the necessary moves to protect it and to make it a better place. There was one example, let me just give you this example. If I don't know if you know it, the Yellowstone National Park.
No, I don't
It's
know
a
it.
wonderful
Teacher, you have
place.
speak to my class about this. And it's on Friday.
There was one thing that people did over here. When they made it a national park, people started taking care of it, obviously. And at one point, there was a huge number of wolves. Huge number. So what they decided was that the wolves were bad for the ecosystem, that they were hunting too much. So they killed them off. They killed all of them. They killed all the wolves.
They didn't kill them, they took them away.
Did they?
Yeah, or
They
maybe
didn't
they
kill
can.
them. They didn't kill them. They just took them away and held them in a controlled environment, away from Yellowstone.
All right, so
Okay,
they
that
just
makes
took them away from Yellowstone. What happened next surprised everyone because the population of deer rose dramatically. There was nothing to hunt deer. So what they started to do was, like every deer, they started grazing. They ate all the grass, they ate all the bark of the trees. So the park was dying out because deer was eating all the greenery. So what they realized that they had to do, they realized that they had broken the chain. And when you remove one link from the chain, everything falls apart. So what they did was they reintroduced the wolves in the national park again. So the wolves started hunting deer. There wasn't enough deer to eat all the grass. There was enough grass and greenery for the deer. So again, the whole circle of life started working. But it is a major moment when people interfered with how nature works. You see, it's not just technology. It's not. It's interesting. Next one. When, if ever, is it okay for humans to change the weather?
No.
Ever.
No.
No.
What
I
do you
mean, the
mean,
weather is the
no?
only natural thing that happens, and we don't change
There's
it.
global warming. We'll all die 50 years from now if we don't do anything about it.
Okay, but the global warming
I
is
forgot.
because of us.
I didn't understand. I understand it's just like raining or snowing.
Bodan, what do you think?
Someone said like 2 minutes ago or something like that, that the nature is sometimes harming us, but it's actually not harming us. We're harming the nature, and the consequences are harming us. And because we're harming the nature, the like the global warming is, yeah, it's getting hotter every day. Like we are cutting trees, so there is a lot of consequences because of that. And there are tsunamis because the ice is melting, and there is more water, and yeah, we are harming the nature, and the nature is harming us. So we should stop doing
I think that because we've harmed Earth so much, I think that now, if we want to survive, we have to change the weather. And this is something that we will talk about next time. We will talk about geoengineering. In
Can
other
I
words,
have a
how
rebuttal?
to. Just a second. In other words, how people need to change the Earth so we can survive now, because the situation has changed. Yeah. Sarah, what would you like to say?
I have a rebuttal for
Sure.
who was talking
Bodan.
before you?
Bodan.
For Bodan, he said the earth is never harming us. But there's a thing called natural disasters, like an earthquake.
Of course,
We
yes.
don't make earthquakes.
Yes.
Okay, but we can't do anything to stop an earthquake.
Yes,
Yes.
can't do anything, like we can just.
Yeah, but earthquake is a different thing. Like we need to dig like so down, and that's like almost, let's say, impossible because
Nothing can stop an earthquake. It's
It's
non-stoppable.
unbeatable.
natural.
It's
You
nature.
know the parts of the earth
It's
moving.
unbeatable.
like
No
if
matter
the
how
tectonic
deep down
plates
you
whole
dig, you're not
earth
gonna
is
stop it.
moving.
we can do nothing about it if the tectonic plates move. It's just like it's just nature.
This is something that we will elaborate next time when we talk about geoengineering, as I said. And we will also talk about this question: when, if ever, is it okay for humans to change the physical landscape? I think that this is something that we have been doing for quite some time, and this is something that people in Dubai do a lot. Have you seen the islands in Dubai?
Yeah.
No.
These islands are artificial. It's not like nature wanted to have a palm tree as an island, it looks spectacular, but this has been made artificially. So they changed the landscape. Would you agree that this is okay?
I mean,
Well, I
it's
mean,
nice.
Teacher
Isn't
would change
okay.
One
the
person, one.
As long as it's not
Raise your
harming
hand.
deers.
please, can I
Me.
please?
changing the
Me,
landscape.
Simona.
That doesn't matter too much.
It isn't okay, but maybe it is harming some parts, and I don't think it's okay.
Teacher, can I?
Me.
Marco?
Teacher, can I say,
Like,
because
I
teacher,
think it's
we
not
Can I
always
say-
okay.
we always
Like,
change the
it's-
landscape,
Wait,
teacher.
just a second.
It's not always like okay to interfere like with the ways of nature. It most probably will pay back, but let's look at Dubai like an oasis. Like Dubai is like literally in the middle of the desert, so there's not much things there. So the people do need to make something so they can, yeah, like have things there. So they won't need to go so far away to take the stuff, like the things that are needed. Plus, like, yeah.
I get it. Let me just say this before the lesson is over so we can continue next time. I mean, we can continue in a minute. This is Odaiba Island. It's an island in Japan, Tokyo. And the whole island is built on artificial garbage. So what they've done is they collect all the garbage and they make it into building blocks. They make it in the form of a brick. And I don't know the technology how they do it, but they created a whole island using garbage, and it's so strong that it supports these skyscrapers. Look at that. They've managed to build skyscrapers on top of blocks, bricks made of garbage. So would you agree that maybe this is okay?
That's actually like
Well,
kind of
yeah, it
useful.
That is
is.
artificial
okay.
and
We aren't,
really good,
Okay.
but it can
We
harm
aren't
nature.
just leaving the
Yes.
That is like a part not okay, a part okay, because when we're building on top of like a normal landscape that nobody has touched,
The
it
better
may affect
thing,
the landscape, but teacher, for building on something that we made without touching anything else, I think it's not that effective.
the good
Yeah,
thing
but,
is
like,
that
I have to
they
restart. I have to restart the meeting. Please
Like, let's
rejoin.
be real, there's so much like garbage there, so they can build an
Rejoin.
island, so it's not